In this video, we'll learn how to create lists and folders in Loocey, organize them with drag and drop, and we'll also cover other related features. Let's get started. When you log in into Loocey, you are placed into the default workspace or the last workspace you used. Workspaces are like databases in Loocey. There is a Workspaces drop-down at the top, and this is where you select your workspace. We'll cover the workspace creation and other related features in another video. Below the workspace selection, we have our lists and folders. Lists are like tables inside Loocey. In fact, the backend, lists are actually database tables, hence they work just like database tables, but of course with more enhanced features. To create a list, simply either click on the workspace context menu and click on New List, or click on the context menu of one of the items in the workspace and click on New List. If you're clicking on a new list, from a folder's context menu, system will automatically place the new list inside the folder. Let's try a couple of examples. Let's create computers list. Click on the workspace context menu, then New List. Enter computers into the name field. Note that our parent drop-down is empty because we don't have any folders in our workspace yet. Then click on Create. We will now see our new list, with default name column. And we can add more columns as needed. Next, let's create a couple of folders. Click on Context menu, New Folder, name it HR, and click on Create. Let's create another folder, and name it Assets. Now that we have our folders, we can drag and drop lists into the folders. Let's drag our newly created computers list into Assets folder. And open the folder. As you can see, our computers list is now in Assets folder. We can also drag Assets folder to the top to position it at the top, above Contacts. Great, we now have our Assets folder at the top, and this is how you can organize your lists inside the workspace. But we're not done yet. Let's go over another important feature when creating a list. Let's this time click on Context menu of our Assets folder and click on New List. You'll see that the parent is automatically selected as Assets. This is where the new list will be created. Let's name it Monitors, but this time, let's understand the primary key drop-down options. In technical terms, database tables have a primary key. This is a unique ID column. By default, we use automatically generated GUIDs, or also known as unique identifiers. And if you're not technical, you can leave this as the default selection. But let's explore the different options. There are different options in the primary key drop-down, and for this example, let's try AutoNumber. This will simply use automatically generated incremental numbers instead of GUIDs or unique identifier types for the primary key of the table. Select AutoNumber and click on Create. At the first glance, the table looks identically to our newly created computers list, but let's show our ID a column so we can see the difference. Click on Columns and switch on ID column so it becomes visible. And click on Save and its Save View to save the column selection changes to our current view. You should see 1, 2, 3 for the 3 default items. Let's also add another item to the list. Type item 4 in Add Item Input and hit Enter. You'll see ID 4. Note that these IDs are unique and always increase regardless if we delete existing rows. Let's delete our item 4 and add it again. Simply select item 4, click on Delete and confirm. And let's add item 4 again. Notice that ID is no longer 4, it could be 5 or other number. And this depends on how many times we've added and deleted records. Again, this ID is always incrementing regardless of how many records in the table. To see the difference, click on Computers List and enable ID column as well and save changes to the view. Note, if you expand ID column, you'll see a long randomly generated code. This is known as GUIDs or unique identifier type in technical term. What's great about this type is that it's always unique and you cannot guess the next ID. Let's try a couple of other primary key types. Let's create our third list in Assets table, call it Asset Types, and for this example, let's select Integer as the primary key type, make sure Assets is selected as the parent and click on Create. And let's enable ID column and save our view, expand ID column. This type, you'll see again generated integer numbers. So what is the difference? The difference is that we can now edit our IDs and we can take control of what IDs we want to give to our records. In fact, let's change our rows to 1, 2, 3 and change the names to monitors, computers, laptops. And let's add a fourth item and call it phones. Again, system will auto-generate a random integer ID to avoid errors, but you can change it. let's change it back to 4, and again, if we were to delete and add more records, we can still control what IDs we give to the items. In comparison, the auto grids and auto number types, the ID column is read-only and you cannot modify. Let's create our final example list, call it buildings, this time we'll create it inside HR folder. Click on the context menu, select New List, and let's select String for primary key type and name it Buildings and click on Create. Again, let's enable ID column and expand so we see full ID and save our view. Note this time, we no longer have random numbers for our IDs, instead, these are string or text values. Let's change the IDs to say Building 1, Building 2, and Building 3. As you may have guessed, the difference is that we can use string or text to be our unique ID value. This concludes our tutorial today, and be sure to check out our relationship videos to see how we connect or link tables together to create to utilize the powerful database features without having any technical knowledge on database architecture. That's it for today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified when we release new tutorials. Thanks for watching and see you next time.